In the theater of power, concealment is survival. The man who exposes too much of himself gives the world a map to his destruction. Every weakness, every emotion, every dream once seen becomes ammunition in the hands of those who study you not to understand, but to dominate. Power demands that you master what you reveal and what you never allow to be seen. The first thing you must never show is your full ambition. The crowd worships humility in public and punishes hunger it cannot control. They call it arrogance when your will exceeds their comfort. So, hide your fire beneath calmness. Let your desires move like shadows beneath the curtain of moderation. The wise man pursues greatness in silence. The fool announces his every step and wonders why doors close before he arrives. In politics and in life, ambition declared too soon becomes ambition denied. Never show your true emotions. Power decays the moment it becomes predictable. The world feeds on reaction. Those who can provoke your anger own your direction. Those who can wound your heart can enslave your will. Show composure even when betrayed. Smile even when bleeding. Let them think you are tranquil while you rearrange the field beneath their feet. The calm face of the ruler is more terrifying than the fury of his enemies. Never show your loyalty too easily. Loyalty is currency. It loses value when spent carelessly. To swear allegiance too soon is to bind your hands before you understand the game. True loyalty must serve purpose, not sentiment. Ally yourself only with those whose fall would damage your rise, and even then, never entirely. The wise prince remains useful to all, but owned by none. Never show your weakness disguised as honesty. The world worships sincerity in words, but despises it in results. Confession is not virtue when it reveals your vulnerability. The man who declares his fears invites conquest. Speak truth as a blade, not a wound. Honesty must be a weapon sharp, strategic, precise, not an open heart waiting to be broken. Never show your dependence on the approval of others. The crowd's affection is a storm powerful but unstable. Today they cheer your name, tomorrow they burn your image. Govern yourself before you attempt to govern the world. He who needs applause becomes a slave to it. Influence flows not from popularity, but from consistency, the unmoved center amid chaos. Never show your strategy. The appearance of simplicity is the ultimate disguise. Let them underestimate you. Let them think your moves are random while every step has been calculated months in advance. The one who conceals his hand commands the game. Invisibility is not absence. It is the highest form of presence. And finally, never show that you believe in permanence. Nothing in power lasts, not alliances, not peace, not the throne itself. To cling to the illusion of stability is to invite ruin. The prince who believes the world has settled will be the first consumed when it shifts. Understand that survival depends not on control, but on adaptability. Power is not held. It is constantly seized, maintained, and remade. Every empire, every leader, every institution that ever fell shared one fatal flaw. They believed their position was secure, but security is the mirage of fools. The wise man governs from motion, not stillness, from understanding that strength must be renewed, masks must be replaced, and loyalty must be tested. To rule is to live in concealment, not as a coward hides, but as a strategist moves unseen. What you withhold becomes your fortress. What you reveal becomes your weakness. The art of leadership is the art of invisibility. The world does not destroy you for what you have. It destroys you for what you show. Guard your ambition behind silence. Guard your emotions behind composure. Guard your loyalty behind calculation. Guard your honesty behind control. Guard your independence behind discipline. Guard your plans behind patience. Guard your illusions behind wisdom. And when they look upon you calm, contained, unreadable, they will sense power even before you act. For the true ruler is not the one who stands tallest in the light, but the one who commands the shadows with grace. To survive, you must learn the ancient law of power. Conceal to protect, reveal to control. Speak when silence no longer serves you. Move when stillness becomes danger. Win not by force, but by unreadability. For in the end, the greatest victory is not to be loved or feared, but to be understood by none. The crowd will always search for cracks in your armor, not to understand your soul, but to exploit its fractures. They do not admire strength, they probe it, waiting for the moment it hesitates. This is why a ruler must learn to speak less than he knows, to feel more than he shows, and to think faster than anyone suspects. Every revelation, every confession, every moment of candor is a door open to those who wish to enter and rearrange your mind from within. You cannot control those who can predict you. You cannot lead those who can read you. To remain sovereign, you must remain opaque, not empty, but impenetrable. The world you move through is not a field of honor, but a chessboard of shifting loyalties. Those who smile before you may already be striking deals behind you. Betrayal is not an exception. It is the cost of existence among men. To survive in such terrain, you must abandon the naive expectation of fairness. Justice, as the weak imagine it, is a fiction to comfort those without strategy. The strong understand that balance is forged, not found. They shape it with precision, with patience, with the cold understanding that peace is never natural. It is engineered by those who dare to impose it. Every era produces its own kind of warfare. The ancient one fought with blades and horses. The modern one fights with information, appearances, and persuasion. He who masters the flow of perception governs reality itself. For perception creates allegiance, and allegiance creates obedience. Learn this. Truth is a weapon only when guided by the hand of intent. Those who speak truth for comfort will be silenced by those who use lies for power. The difference between the ruler and the ruled is not virtue, but strategy, not morality, but timing. Never mistake the performance of virtue for virtue itself. The world rewards appearance more than essence. A man who seems just will be loved longer than the man who is just. This is the cruel arithmetic of human nature. People follow what they can see, not what they must think. Therefore, cloak your intentions in virtue, but never let virtue dictate your actions. A clean image is not a moral necessity, it is a political one. Reputation is armor forged from illusion. Once tarnished, it exposes flesh to the knives of enemies. Guard it not with sincerity, but with control. The most dangerous moment in any life of power is not defeat, but triumph. When a man achieves what he sought, he begins to believe that his throne rests on loyalty and love. It does not. It rests on fear, usefulness, and the illusion of inevitability. Once the people believe they can live without you, they will try. Once your allies sense you need them more than they need you, they will negotiate your fall. Therefore, remain slightly distant, slightly untouchable, present enough to command, absent enough to be myth. The ruler who mingles too freely becomes familiar, and familiarity breeds contempt faster than failure. Understand that manipulation is not evil, it is the language of influence. The moral man who refuses to manipulate others will be manipulated by those who do. This is not cynicism, it is anatomy. The heart of man is moved not by truth, but by desire, fear, and vanity. If you wish to govern, you must learn to touch those strings without appearing to pull them. Make others think they act freely, even as they move according to your design. True control is invisible. It resides not in orders, but in options, the choices you allow others to believe are theirs. You must also know when to disappear. The art of retreat is as vital as the art of conquest. There are moments when visibility is poison, when being seen too long invites rebellion or envy. The wise man withdraws not out of fear, but to preserve the illusion of power. Distance magnifies authority. Mystery sustains reverence. The moment they think they know you fully, they will begin to despise you. Withdraw before they do. Rule their imagination from afar. Let them miss your presence, and they will protect your legend. Do not seek to be understood. To be understood is to be reduced. The masses crave simplicity. They turn complex men into caricatures to make themselves feel safe. Allow them to misunderstand you, it grants freedom. Let them call you ruthless, for it hides your compassion. Let them call you cold, for it conceals your fire. The man who defends himself against every accusation wastes his energy explaining instead of ruling. The wise accept distortion as the price of authority. Remember always that mercy must serve order, not guilt. To forgive without calculation is weakness disguised as virtue. When you show mercy, make sure it strengthens your rule, not your remorse. When you show cruelty, let it be swift and justified by purpose. The crowd forgives cruelty when it is efficient. It condemns hesitation because it smells of weakness. The ruler who kills without hesitation is feared for a moment. The ruler who hesitates before killing is hated forever. In all things, act as if fate watches you, but never as if it controls you. Fortune favors the man who prepares for its betrayal. Luck is not a gift. It is a brief window that opens only for those already moving. Prepare for treachery before it arrives. Build loyalty while pretending to doubt it. Plan for ruin while appearing calm. The storm that destroys others becomes a weapon in the hands of the prepared. And when you stand at the summit of all you have built, remember, power is not possession, it is performance. You do not own the throne, you perform it. Every day, every hour, in the minds of those who watch. The day you forget this is the day they stop believing. Power dies not when it is taken, but when it ceases to be convincing. Keep your mask intact. Even in solitude, wear it. For the habit of composure, once broken, never returns whole. There will come a time when you will be tempted to rest, to believe you have secured your place. That is when decay begins. Renewal demands motion, and motion demands struggle. You must learn to live in the balance between danger and control, between revelation and concealment, between the face you wear and the soul you silence. Only then can you rule, not just others, but yourself. Do not wait for peace. There is no peace in the realm of ambition, only the calm between two storms. The wise do not seek to end conflict, they seek to navigate it. The throne is not a seat, it is a blade balanced on water. The moment you believe it stands firm, it cuts you. Rule, therefore, as one who is always at war, even when smiling. Rule as if every ally were a potential rival, every friend a possible betrayer, every victory the beginning of its own undoing. This is not paranoia, it is realism. And realism is the only virtue that survives history. History remembers not the righteous, but the effective. Those who believed too deeply in their own virtue perished by it, while those who understood the rhythm of deception built dynasties that outlived their bodies. The world does not honor innocence, it exploits it. The naive man walks through the corridors of power, believing character will protect him. It will not. Character is a weapon only when sharpened by discipline, disguised by restraint, and used with precision. The rest is vanity, the self-consolation of the defeated. The wise man uses morality as an instrument, not an anchor. He knows that what matters is not being good, but appearing good long enough to achieve what must be done. Control is not won through strength alone. It is sustained through perception, through the delicate architecture of fear and trust, calibrated like the gears of a clock. Fear without trust breeds revolt. Trust without fear breeds betrayal. The ruler must give enough of both to keep men guessing. Let them hope for your favor, but dread your disappointment. Let them believe in your fairness, but never in your mercy. The best servant is one who admires and fears you in equal measure. Such a man will guard your name even when it no longer profits him. Be careful, too, of those who praise you without reason. Flattery is the most refined form of manipulation. It is the poison offered in a golden cup, sweet, soothing, and fatal to the inattentive. The ruler who believes his own legend becomes a slave to it. He begins to act not as strategist but as idol, losing the flexibility that once made him strong. Surround yourself not with admirers, but with those who dare to question you carefully, without rebellion, but without blindness. True loyalty is not obedience, it is alignment of purpose. But even then, remain cautious. Purpose shifts faster than devotion, and today's ally becomes tomorrow's rival with the smallest change in fortune. Every word you utter must have weight. The ruler who speaks too much spends his authority like coin in a marketplace. The fewer your words, the greater their gravity. Make silence your companion. It unnerves the impatient, disorients the arrogant, and reveals the desperate. Silence is not the absence of power. It is its purest expression. Speak only when speech becomes more dangerous to others than to you. Let every declaration sound like a verdict, and every pause feel like judgment. The crowd will fill the silence with their own fears, and fear is a currency far more powerful than gold. Never forget that the public loves drama, not truth. They worship symbols, not policies. Give them the illusion of clarity while concealing the machinery of your intentions. The wise ruler knows that spectacle is governance. Appear decisive even when uncertain. Appear generous even when calculating. Appear calm even when chaos burns at your door. The people need to believe their leader is the unmoved center around which their confusion revolves. Give them that illusion, and they will forgive your every crime. Fail to maintain it, and they will crucify you for their own failures. To lead men is to understand their hunger. They crave meaning more than bread, reassurance more than freedom. Feed them stories that justify their suffering, and they will die believing in your vision. Strip them of myth, and they will devour you for clarity. The wise ruler therefore balances truth with fiction. He shapes belief not by facts, but by symbols that breathe emotion into obedience. You need not deceive them entirely. You must only let them deceive themselves in the direction you prefer. In the solitude of power, you will come to know that leadership is less about commanding armies than commanding appearances. Every gesture, every hesitation, every rumor surrounding you becomes a part of your rule. You must control even the whispers. When you cannot silence them, guide them. When you cannot guide them, drown them in noise. The ruler who loses control of the narrative loses control of reality itself. For perception governs behavior, and behavior governs fate. Learn also the art of selective vulnerability. To appear invincible is to provoke endless assaults. To appear fragile is to invite pity and contempt. But to reveal a wound at the right time, a calculated imperfection, is to awaken loyalty. People wish to protect what seems human. Yet you must never confuse performance with authenticity. The display of weakness is strategy, not confession. Never bleed where others can see. Paint the wound only when it serves to distract from the blade in your hand. Every betrayal you suffer must become instruction. To rage against treachery is to forget the nature of man. Betrayal is not the exception, it is the rhythm of power. The one who betrays you reveals not his corruption, but his calculation. Ask not why he turned, but why you allowed the conditions for his turning. A ruler must anticipate treachery not with paranoia, but with preparation. Forgive the traitor publicly if it gains you peace, but mark him privately so that his lesson is not lost. And if you must destroy, destroy completely. Mercy toward enemies who can still rise is not virtue, it is negligence. Half measures breed vengeance. Those you cripple but do not kill will return sharper, wiser, more dangerous. The true act of mercy is swift annihilation to end the conflict so entirely that memory itself becomes your ally. History will call it justice if you control the narrative that records it. In the quiet of your mind, understand that leadership is the art of solitude. You will be praised in public and doubted in private. You will dine surrounded by allies and sleep surrounded by ghosts. The applause of the masses is loud, but it cannot silence the whisper of conscience. Learn to live with that whisper. Learn to converse with it, not to obey it. For conscience, when untempered by necessity, is treason against survival. When the day ends and the mask is set aside, you must face the truth that every ruler carries two lives, one seen, one endured. The seen life is the performance, the grace, the command, the illusion of control. The endured life is the burden, the weight of choices made in darkness, the faces of those sacrificed for stability. You will not be forgiven for them, but neither will you be forgotten. That is the price of sovereignty. The weak seek peace of soul. The strong accept that peace is reserved for the powerless. In this understanding lies your freedom. To know the cost of power and still choose it, that is mastery. To act without apology. To conceal without shame. To lead without illusion of purity, that is the rarest form of courage. You do not serve goodness by being good. You serve it by enduring what others cannot, by doing what must be done while they sleep beneath the comfort of ignorance. So remember this law, the one whispered through centuries of broken crowns and fallen empires. Reveal nothing that diminishes your mystery. Expose nothing that weakens your control. Trust no feeling that demands expression, and never let the world see where you bleed. For once they do, your reign is already over, even if your throne remains. Consider the ruler who confides in his counsel, believing honesty will earn him loyalty. He opens his heart to those who sit closest to the throne, sharing the doubts that haunt his nights. They listen with reverence, nod with understanding, and the next morning, his hesitation becomes a rumor, his vulnerability a weapon. By sunset, it is not his enemies who seek his fall, but those he trusted most. The world devours confession. Power does not forgive transparency. Every truth you reveal becomes a seed of your undoing in someone else's ambition. Therefore, speak not from emotion, but from necessity. Let every word be a calculation, every silence a decision. Look at the general who reveals his battle plans to inspire confidence among his soldiers. He thinks that openness will bind them to his cause. Instead, his intentions leak to the enemy through a single tongue, and his army falls before it ever draws the sword. The man who shares his strategy mistakes trust for discipline. In war and in politics, trust must be earned through loyalty proven, not loyalty claimed. The strongest fortress is not built of stone, it is built of silence. Then there is the reformer who unveils his full vision too soon. He believes truth will awaken hearts, but in doing so, he awakens fears. The people who once praised his ideals turn against him, for nothing terrifies the comfortable more than clarity. They accuse him of ambition, of betrayal, of corruption, all because he dared to move faster than their courage. He learns too late that revelation is power's slowest poison. Ideas, like fire, must be hidden until they are ready to consume. Consider the advisor who reveals his loyalty too eagerly. His flattery becomes obvious, his allegiance predictable. When fortune shifts, he cannot pivot, and the ruler no longer values his devotion. A man whose loyalty is always visible becomes easy to dismiss. The most dangerous ally is the one who flatters from the shadows, who praises without dependency, whose loyalty is a mystery others must interpret. That man cannot be used. He must be respected. Observe the empire that mistook peace for permanence. It built monuments, not armies. It relied on goodwill, not readiness. When envy grew beyond its borders, it believed treaties would protect it. But peace is never a shield. It is merely a pause between aggressions. Its rulers had shown too much faith in virtue, too little in vigilance. And when the storm came, it was not the enemy's strength that destroyed them, but their own complacency. To display peace as if it were eternal is to announce your vulnerability to time itself. Think of the merchant who boasts of his fortune. His peers call him successful, but behind the praise grows resentment. The taxman arrives, the thieves study his route, and those who once smiled now conspire in silence. Wealth paraded is wealth invited to ruin. The wise conceal their treasure in plain sight, modest in appearance, lavish in control. What cannot be seen cannot be targeted. The humble facade is the richest armor. Even in love, concealment preserves power. The ruler who shows affection too openly becomes hostage to it. His enemies study his weakness, his lovers test his resolve. Passion is not the ruler's ruin, display is. Affection must be disciplined like speech, shown as much as it serves, hidden when it weakens. The ruler who can smile through heartbreak and command through attachment is not cold, he is sovereign. Consider the leader who reveals contempt. In a moment of anger, he mocks an inferior. The room laughs, but the damage is already done. Every insult breeds quiet rebellion. The humiliated man sharpens patience into a blade. Years later, he strikes from obscurity, and the ruler wonders how a single jest became a downfall. Never show disdain where you could show indifference. Indifference is power's most elegant cruelty. There was once a king who sought to appear loved by all. He dined among peasants, laughed among courtiers, shared his wealth freely. He mistook familiarity for affection. When famine came, they blamed him first. For those who see you as equal will hold you responsible for their misery. Distance creates reverence. Closeness creates blame. A ruler must remain near enough to be admired, yet far enough to be beyond reproach. To rule is to be seen, but never touched. The minister who reveals exhaustion loses more than sleep, he loses fear. The day his subordinates see his fatigue, they sense the approaching end. Authority requires illusion even in weakness. To endure, you must mask your limits. Collapse privately, rise publicly. The throne tolerates no visible tremor. The ruler who bleeds in sight of others turns every loyal eye into a mirror of pity, and pity is the slowest death of power. The statesman who relies too heavily on morality to justify action binds himself with the same rope his enemies will use to hang him. Those who cannot bend their principles when necessity demands will eventually be bent by those who can. Morality, in the hands of the ruler, must be pliable, an instrument to guide perception, not restrict possibility. The people require their leader to appear righteous, not to be righteous. Their comfort lies in illusion, and the ruler who refuses to provide it invites their hatred. The soldier who reveals fear before battle infects his men faster than disease. Courage, even when feigned, multiplies. Fear, even when justified, corrodes. The ruler must therefore learn the art of appearance under pressure. A calm face amid catastrophe is the highest command. Panic spreads downward, discipline upward. To rule is to understand that emotions, once visible, are contagious, and the contagion of fear destroys faster than defeat. Consider the young prince who inherits a realm of veterans. He wishes to prove himself. To appear decisive, he makes rash declarations, cuts old alliances, dismisses counsel. In showing confidence, he exposes inexperience. The experienced smile as he stumbles. They obey until he breaks, then they replace him. The first act of wisdom in leadership is restraint. The second is patience. Confidence must be quiet. Noise betrays uncertainty. Observe the politician who reveals contempt for the masses he governs. His disdain, though private, leaks through gestures, tone, expressions. The people sense it before he speaks it, and the people who sense they are despised will tolerate tyranny, but not arrogance. The ruler's demeanor must project respect even when his thoughts do not. In governance, optics are ethics. What is seen becomes truth. Or the revolutionary who reveals his hatred too clearly. The moment he personalizes his struggle, it becomes vengeance. The people lose faith in his justice and see only the shadow of his wound. Rage may ignite change, but it cannot govern it. The true strategist feels deeply and acts coldly. Emotion is fuel, not compass. To let it steer is to burn with it. There was once a queen whose generosity became legend. She gave freely to all, believing gratitude would ensure peace. Instead, her subjects grew entitled, her coffers emptied, and when famine struck, they blamed her for not giving more. Kindness without boundary is self-destruction disguised as virtue. A ruler must give just enough to inspire loyalty, never enough to breed dependency. When people expect your generosity, they stop respecting your restraint. And in every age, there is the ruler who reveals certainty. He speaks as though the world has stopped turning. He trusts too deeply in his own vision, dismisses counsel, and mistakes confidence for fate. But power, like the sea, is always in motion. Certainty drowns where adaptability survives. The ruler who never doubts cannot learn. The ruler who learns too late cannot endure. The greatest strength is not in conviction but in flexibility, the quiet ability to bend without breaking. Each of these figures, the honest confessor, the open strategist, the sentimental ruler, the boastful merchant, the moral idealist, fell not because they lacked virtue, but because they revealed too much of it. In the world of power, transparency is exposure, and exposure is death. The unseen hand governs the visible stage. The wise conceal not out of deceit, but out of preservation, for the only truths worth keeping are the ones no one else can name. There was once a man who believed that transparency would earn him love. He invited the public into his mind, his doubts, his failures. He confessed his mistakes in front of cameras and called it authenticity. For a brief moment, the world adored him. But admiration is short-lived, and perception is cruel. The same confession that drew sympathy one day became the proof of weakness the next. They said he lacked strength. They said he was soft. They said he could not lead. What he called honesty they called incompetence, and when the time came to stand firm, no one followed him. The crowd that praises your openness will be the first to abandon you when it costs them comfort. The world wants leaders to appear human, but not too human. They crave connection without consequence. There was another ruler, young and eager, who trusted the brilliance of his intellect. He explained his every move, certain that reason would disarm suspicion. But every explanation created new doubts. Every justification unveiled new motives. The more he spoke, the less they believed. The wise understand that clarity kills authority. The ruler must be understood just enough to be followed, and mysterious enough to be feared. Explanation is the enemy of command. A leader who must explain himself already stands on unstable ground. In the shadowed courts of old Florence, a noble once allowed his enemies to see that he despised them. His eyes betrayed him before his tongue could lie. They smiled in return, patient, strategic, venomous. When the day came for votes and alliances, they united not because they agreed, but because they shared a common insult. Contempt unspoken is forgotten. Contempt expressed is immortal. The ruler who cannot control his gaze is already defeated. You must never let emotions speak where silence would wound deeper. There was a scholar turned diplomat who believed that truth would protect him. He thought that by revealing corruption, he could cleanse the system. But power does not purify, it survives. He uncovered the sins of others, not realizing that light exposes the wielder as much as the subject. The moment he lifted the veil, he became part of the struggle he sought to correct. They silenced him not with violence, but with isolation, the exile of irrelevance. In this world, even the whistle of truth must be calculated, or it will echo into oblivion. A commander once rewarded his soldiers too equally. He feared jealousy among ranks, so he treated all men alike. But equality in power breeds resentment, not harmony. The strong feel insulted by fairness. The weak see no reason to improve. Balance is not sameness. It is hierarchy disguised as justice. The ruler who tries to please all sides pleases none. Mercy must have borders, and justice must be weighted. To lead is to discriminate not by hate, but by discernment. There was a statesman who mistook gratitude for loyalty. He raised men from poverty, gave them offices, lands, and titles. They kissed his hands, toasted his name, and plotted his death in the same breath. Gratitude is the most perishable of emotions. It expires the moment it is felt. The wise ruler gives benefits in increments, not in gifts. The man who owes you forever is the one who still fears losing what he has. Give too much, and you liberate your subjects from dependence. And a liberated man is no longer loyal, he is ambitious. Once there lived a philosopher king who believed that education would civilize envy. He opened the doors of knowledge to all, believing wisdom would create virtue. But he forgot that wisdom without purpose becomes pride. The people learned enough to criticize, but not enough to govern. The educated masses became a chorus of cynics, masters of rhetoric and slaves to envy. He had built not a republic of reason, but a marketplace of arrogance. Knowledge does not equal loyalty. A wise ruler educates only as much as he can direct. There was a general who thought love could unite his army better than fear. He called his soldiers brothers, ate with them, wept for them. They adored him until the first defeat. When he showed despair, they scattered. They had loved his warmth, not his will. Compassion, without distance, erodes command. To lead men, one must let them believe affection exists, but never let them possess it. Fear anchors loyalty where love cannot reach. A prince once tried to conquer through mercy. His city had rebelled, and rather than punish them, he forgave all. For a time, he was hailed as divine. But rebellion returned stronger, bolder, bloodier. Mercy had not softened them. It had instructed them that disobedience bore no cost. The prince who forgives too often teaches his enemies that his justice is negotiable. A ruler's clemency must resemble thunder, rare, startling, final. There was a ruler who believed family would protect him. He placed cousins in office, brothers in command, uncles in treasury. He thought blood guaranteed loyalty, but family breeds entitlement, not gratitude. Relatives demand what others must earn. Their betrayal wounds deeper because it feels personal, but it is not. Nepotism is not protection. It is corrosion disguised as trust. A state ruled by blood is a house ruled by rivalry. The throne must rest on loyalty of necessity, not loyalty of kinship. And there was the ruler who sought revenge too visibly. When he was betrayed, he struck fast, proud of his justice. The crowd cheered his wrath until they realized it could turn on them. Terror must be precise, not indulgent. The ruler who punishes from emotion invites conspiracy. The ruler who punishes from reason commands fear. Vengeance is private pleasure. Justice is public strategy. Confuse the two, and you lose both authority and control. Another prince inherited a peaceful realm and thought he could rule by goodwill. He smiled at all, pardoned mistakes, rewarded minor talents. He mistook politeness for policy. Within a year, the ministers ignored him, the guards disobeyed him, and the merchants raised their own taxes. The nation still called him good but powerless. Reputation without control is the applause given to a performer, not a ruler. The good prince is loved in stories. The strong prince writes them. There was a revolutionary who exposed the weaknesses of the old order. He rallied the people, burned the symbols of corruption, and stood as their savior. But when the old tyrant fell, the people looked to him not for freedom, but for direction. And he, unprepared for the burden of command, became the tyrant he once despised. The ruler who destroys without preparing to replace creates chaos in which others rule. Destruction is easy. Continuity is art. In the East, there was a courtier who used laughter as armor. He joked with kings, mocked dangers, softened every tension with wit. The court adored him until one day, his humor was mistaken for insolence. The ruler's smile froze, the laughter died, and his head fell before he could explain. Even charm is a weapon that dulls with use. The wise use it sparingly, not to amuse, but to disarm. A joke too often spoken becomes an invitation to contempt. And in a distant empire, a queen displayed her faith too fervently. She prayed in public, dressed in symbols of purity, surrounded herself with holy men. But the priests grew powerful, the people divided in devotion, and her image, once divine, became fanatical. Faith, when politicized, becomes a leash around the believer's neck. A ruler may hold faith in private, but must never let faith hold the throne. Every example ends the same way. Exposure precedes ruin. What begins as sincerity ends as spectacle. What begins as openness ends as opportunity for someone else. The one who reveals his inner world to the outer one writes his own downfall. Power survives in the shadows because the shadows belong to no one. To rule is to vanish behind the mask while making the mask unforgettable. What they see must be designed. What they never see must be infinite. To survive in the machinery of power, one must master the art of concealment, not as deceit, but as strategy. The 7 things you must never show are not mere habits. They are the very barriers between strength and ruin, command and collapse. They are the silent disciplines that preserve the mind from exposure and the will from erosion. For every ruler, every thinker, every individual who dares to stand above the crowd, these 7 veils form the invisible armor that keeps the world from devouring the essence of their rule. The first thing never to show is your center, that immovable place from which your decisions arise. The world must see motion, not direction, adaptability, not anchor. Once they discover where your conviction resides, they will learn how to shake it. Hide your core beliefs beneath layers of possibility. Let others believe you drift with the wind, even as every breeze carries you closer to your purpose. The unseen motive is the most indestructible weapon, for it cannot be attacked when it cannot be defined. The second thing never to show is your limit. The moment they perceive what breaks you, they will begin constructing the instrument. You may be exhausted, but never appear fatigued, defeated, but never seem broken. The illusion of endurance is often greater than endurance itself. Strength is not the absence of weakness, it is the refusal to let weakness become visible. The ruler who bleeds in private heals twice as fast as the one who bleeds in public. The world preys not on failure, but on confession of it. The third thing never to show is your dependency. To depend openly is to surrender leverage. Even the righteous cause loses power once it appears to beg. You must maintain the image of one who could walk away from every alliance, every arrangement, every affection, even if your heart clings to them in secret. Independence is not detachment. It is the discipline of appearing whole, even when parts of you are missing. To be needed is power. To need is peril. The fourth thing never to show is your fear. Fear is not a flaw, it is instinct. But when exposed, it multiplies in others. The leader's visible terror becomes the army's invisible collapse. The wise do not banish fear, they disguise it. They wear composure like a weapon. They breathe in chaos and exhale command. Even when doubt claws within, the outer shell must remain still as marble. The calm face is not deception, it is containment. Power does not destroy fear. It governs it so completely that no one else can feel it. The fifth thing never to show is your envy in the pursuit of greatness. You will witness others rise faster, louder, seemingly freer. To reveal envy is to expose insecurity, and insecurity is a crack that calls vultures. Celebrate their victories, study their tactics, but never show hunger for what they possess. Envy must become education. The man who envies wastes his sight. The man who observes inherits the crown of the inattentive. Let ambition burn silently, flame unseen consumes longer. The sixth thing never to show is your disdain. Contempt is a revelation of emotion, and emotion is leverage. When you despise, they will bait you. When you remain indifferent, they will exhaust themselves in confusion. Detachment is not apathy. It is a controlled refusal to engage where nothing can be gained. You do not destroy an enemy by hating him. You destroy him by treating his hatred as invisible. In this, indifference becomes the highest demonstration of superiority. And the seventh thing never to show is your desperation. When the walls close in, when allies vanish, when time becomes your enemy, the greatest danger is not defeat, but display. The desperate man bargains his dignity for survival and loses both. The strong die with silence, not pleas. Appear unbothered even when cornered. Act as though every loss was foreseen. Composure in collapse terrifies those who expect you to break. Power's last illusion is often its most convincing, the appearance of control when none remains. To master these veils is to understand the essence of rule, that power is not the truth of what you are, but the shadow you cast upon the minds of others. The visible must always conceal more than it reveals. For men act not on reality, but on perception. The ruler who manages perception commands the world without touching it. The one who reveals his truth, however noble, invites the judgment of those who fear it. You must learn to live in silence among storms, to think deeply, but speak as if lightly, to feel greatly, but act as though unmoved. The appearance of balance is more potent than the reality of it. The one who seems to know where he stands draws the loyalty of the uncertain. The one who seems uncertain draws the contempt of the secure. In the realm of influence, steadiness is the visible god, unshakable, untouchable, half real, half illusion. These 7 disciplines do not suppress your humanity, they refine it. To show nothing is not to be hollow, it is to contain everything in its proper chamber. The ruler who controls himself controls the behavior of all beneath him, for man follows not words but presence. When you are unreadable, they will interpret your silence as strength. When you are silent long enough, they will begin to hear what you never said. The modern world believes exposure equals authenticity, that to be seen is to be alive. But to those who understand the architecture of power, exposure is erosion. Authenticity is not the naked soul, it is the curated mask that moves with precision through chaos. The fool shows everything to feel free. The wise show nothing to remain so. Never show these 7 things: your center, your limit, your dependency, your fear, your envy, your disdain, your desperation, and you will remain sovereign not only in the world, but within yourself. For in the final reckoning, survival belongs not to the loudest, nor the strongest, but to the one who masters the art of invisibility while standing in full view of the world. The man who governs himself governs all things beneath him, for the world, like men, respects composure above brilliance, silence above virtue, and consistency above passion. In every age, Power bends toward those who endure without exhibition. To master concealment is not to live in deception, but to rule through necessity, for the visible world obeys not truth, but perception. A ruler who reveals too much becomes a subject to those who interpret him. The wise understand this law and act accordingly. He who defines himself gives others the power to redefine him. Do not seek purity in power, for purity is brittle. The ruler who insists on being purely good will soon be destroyed by those who are not. Virtue, like gold, must be alloyed with harder metals to endure the fire. The pure man burns, the tempered one survives. You must learn to act against virtue when virtue threatens your survival, and against vice when vice threatens your order. The stability of your rule is the highest good, all else is ornament. In politics, mercy must serve fear, generosity must serve influence, and loyalty must serve calculation. The rest is indulgence, and indulgence is ruin. To conceal your strength is not cowardice, it is preparation. The lion who roars before the hunt warns his prey. The serpent who lies still in the grass commands the field. Those who display power before necessity wastes it. Concealment multiplies advantage. When your enemies think you are still, they grow careless. When they think you are weak, they reveal themselves. Power shown too early invites resistance. Power shown too late invites defeat. Power revealed at the precise moment commands inevitability. You must also conceal your intent, for intention is the map of your mind. Once others know your direction, they can block the road or follow it to your destination. To lead, you must remain unpredictable. Let your allies think you move for them, your rivals think you move against them, and your subjects think you move for the common good, while in truth, you move only for balance. For order must be preserved even at the expense of transparency. The public need not know why a storm is called forth, only that it restores the calm. A prince who wishes to remain unassailable must avoid all visible excess. Pride is useful only when it is mistaken for destiny. Arrogance is fatal once it is recognized as insecurity. The ruler who parades his triumphs invites envy. The one who speaks of his burdens invites pity. Both are forms of weakness. The wise man walks through victory as through a corridor, quietly, swiftly, leaving no echo behind him. The art of rule is to appear sufficient without appearing content, for contentment breeds stillness, and stillness breeds decay. There is no greater danger than appearing to need praise. Praise is the leash by which lesser men are led. The ruler who hungers for approval becomes predictable. He trades conviction for applause. Do not mistake the crowd's cheers for strength. They cheer what pleases them, not what secures them. A leader must act as though admiration were his shadow, inevitable but irrelevant. To depend on it is to lose your shape the moment the light changes. Fortune is a woman, and she favors those who are audacious but disciplined. She abandons the hesitant and mocks the sentimental. You must treat her as a force to be mastered, not a goddess to be worshipped. Preparation is her seduction, patience her surrender. The man who complains of fortune confesses he has not studied her. She bends only to those who already move in her direction. To rely on her is folly. To anticipate her is genius. In the balance of fear and love, choose neither completely. Love binds softly, fear holds firmly, but both are temporary, if not managed with precision. Too much fear breeds revolt. Too much affection breeds entitlement. The ruler must stand between these extremes, governing through expectation that delicate tension between admiration and apprehension. The subject must never know whether your favor can be won or your wrath can be avoided. It is uncertainty, not cruelty, that maintains obedience. Power does not rest on possession, but on perception of inevitability. Men obey not because they must, but because they cannot imagine otherwise. Create that illusion, and even your silence will govern them. When you command, do so rarely, but make every command irrevocable. The more you speak, the less they fear your word. The fewer your decrees, the more divine they appear. A ruler who speaks often becomes a man. One who speaks sparingly becomes law. In solitude, you must test your own motives. Ambition unexamined becomes tyranny. Restraint unexamined becomes stagnation. The ruler must be his own adversary, questioning every desire, testing every conviction, ensuring that necessity, not emotion, guides his will. He must be his own spy, his own conspirator, his own confessor. Those who cannot stand alone will always be ruled by those who can. In the end, governance is not the art of controlling others, but the mastery of one's own disguise. The mask is not deception, it is protection. Behind it lies the face that must never be shown, the human one, capable of fear, love, and longing. The world is not gentle enough to behold that face without exploiting it. Therefore, let the mask become your form, and your form become legend. When the day comes that they forget it was ever a mask, your power will no longer depend on concealment, but on myth. And when you have learned all this, when you can move unseen through the light, command without noise, inspire obedience without affection, and walk among men without belonging to them, then you will have understood the true nature of sovereignty. It is not the crown, nor the sword, nor the applause of the people that secures the throne. It is the silence within the ruler, the disciplined void that nothing can penetrate. He who rules himself perfectly can be destroyed by none. In the end, concealment is not cowardice, it is wisdom refined by survival. The world is a theater where only the unseen hand directs the play. Those who expose their hearts to the crowd are torn apart by applause and betrayal alike. Power belongs to the one who moves without revealing motion, who speaks without revealing mind, who acts without revealing need. The ruler who endures is not the loudest, nor the most righteous, but the most unreadable. His silence commands more than speeches. His restraint wounds deeper than swords. Never show what the world is eager to consume: your fear, your hunger, your love, your truth. Keep them guarded like sacred fire, for what remains unseen cannot be extinguished. Govern yourself first, and you will govern all. Let them see your shadow, not your soul. Let them believe they understand you, while you stand far beyond their reach. In this lies the essence of Machiavelli's law, that to endure in power, in dignity, and in peace, you must master the oldest art of all: to appear open while remaining untouchable, to walk among men as if human, yet rule as if fate itself.